We do not stand still and are developing for you, so we bring to your attention a new voice and a new story.
32-year-old Olivia Mitchell, silently constructing my tech company for 5 years, while family thought I was wasting potential. Tonight at my brother's engagement dinner, his fiancée recognized me as the creator of the app her company bought for millions. The expression on parents' faces when she murmured, "You're Nextech's founder," made every holiday dinner with their skepticism worthwhile. Brother's jaw remains dropped. If you're in a place where dreams are ignored, click like and subscribe below. Raised in Highland Park, a polished Chicago suburb, meant living under particular expectations. My father, Richard Mitchell, was not just a surgeon, but the one other surgeons sought help from when cases turned complex. My mother, Diana, ruled courts as an unbeatable corporate attorney. My brother, Jason, who is years my senior and the impeccable firstborn, had been following our father's medical career without a hiccup. Our home, though aesthetically pleasing, held an air of scrutiny. Dinner wasn't merely for eating, it was a platform for recapping accomplishments. Evenings often began with Mom inquiring, "What did everyone manage to achieve today?" Jason's responses were always noteworthy. Perfect test scores, science fair triumphs, extensive volunteer hours at distinguished hospitals. When my turn arrived, my responses seemed insufficient. At 15, I declared with genuine pride that I had taught myself HTML and CSS over a weekend by building a website for amusement. "That's sweet, dear," Mom would reply, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Perhaps you should focus more on your debate team practice. Colleges look for long-term dedications, not pastimes." Dad concurred, shifting the conversation to Jason's advanced biology project without delay. The gist was plain. Computers were trivial. Accomplishments unfolded within the confines of operating theaters and courtrooms. My bedroom served as my refuge, a space where I could immerse myself in programming languages and tech forums without scrutiny. While Jason's walls showcased framed academic accolades, mine bore printouts of code and sketches of app interfaces. I would stay awake until 2 a.m., absorbing Python and JavaScript, only to trudge through chemistry class the following day. My parents remained oblivious to my fatigue, unless it impacted my grades. At 16, I created a program that streamlined our school's colossal annual fundraiser. The event coordinator was astounded when my software reduced their planning time significantly. "Your daughter possesses an extraordinary aptitude," she informed my parents at a school gathering. "Oh, Olivia is versatile in her pursuits," Mom responded tactfully. "However, we are concentrating on getting her prepared for law school prerequisites." I had no intention of applying to law school, but they had already mapped out my destiny. During my junior year, a regional coding competition served as a significant milestone. Following numerous months of preparation, I advanced to the finals with an inventory management system I had constructed. Coincidentally, this competition took place on the same Saturday as Jason's medical school acceptance celebration. "We're sorry, sweetie," Mom said, not appearing particularly remorseful. "But your brother has worked his entire life for this. You understand, don't you? Maybe next time." I participated alone, being the only student without family support, and walked away with first place. The judges, seasoned software engineers, commended my natural talent and foresight beyond my years. Upon returning home, I found our house filled with relatives celebrating Jason. My accomplishment garnered a fleeting "that's wonderful" from Dad before he resumed toasting my brother. That night, I made a resolve. I would achieve success on my own terms. Without their validation, I would create something they couldn't dismiss or undervalue. My senior year brought about college applications and parental insistence on applying to Ivy League schools with robust law programs. In contrast, I applied to state universities known for their strong computer science departments. Upon receiving my acceptance to Illinois Tech and its substantial merit scholarship, my parents reacted as if I had proposed joining a circus. "You're wasting your potential," Dad said, evident in every word. "Your test scores could get you into Yale." "Computer science?" Mom exclaimed, her voice escalating. "That's not a field for someone of your abilities." Essentially, they were expressing, "That's not a field befitting a Mitchell." Jason, back from his freshman year in medical school, attempted to intervene with his good intentions but also condescension. "Perhaps it's just a phase, Mom," he suggested. Before starting law school, she needed to let loose. That fall, I embarked on college, feeling a mix of parental pressure and newfound freedom. This was my chance to focus on passions without constant scrutiny. What they perceived as failure, I saw as the beginning of charting my own course. College represented liberation for me. At Illinois Tech, I wasn't simply the parent's hopeful daughter frittering away potential on video games. Instead, I was Olivia, the student whom professors recognized for original programming solutions. For the first time, I found myself amidst people who understood my interests and appreciated my abilities. In my sophomore year, Emma Rodriguez and I crossed paths in an advanced programming class. While others wrestled with the final project, we completed it twice as fast and added bonus features for enjoyment. We often met for coffee post-class, lingering until the campus cafe shut down, discussing the unrealized potential of technology. One evening, Emma brought up the flawed healthcare system, her laptop displaying an article on communication failures within medical care. Her mother had endured 3 incorrect diagnoses before receiving treatment for lupus due to ineffective communication among doctors and patients. This conversation ignited a spark. Over the ensuing week, we drew concepts on napkins and whiteboards, imagining a platform that could transform the way medical information is shared between practitioners and patients. By the end of the semester, we had developed a rough structure for what would evolve into Nextech. The summer break brought us back home, where nothing appeared to have changed. At family events, Jason was invariably asked about his medical residency, while I faced queries about transitioning to a serious major. I provided ambiguous responses about my technology study, allowing discussions to progress swiftly. My uncle would remark with a casual gesture that medical careers are trending nowadays. I'm confident you can secure an entry-level position upon graduation, perhaps IT support. They were unaware of the fact that Emma and I were using every spare moment to construct our prototype. We worked in her parents' garage in Chicago, a space they graciously made available for us. Her family would bring us sandwiches and ask about our advancement. The disparity between my own family's attitude couldn't have been more pronounced. By the junior year, we had a functional beta version. We competed in entrepreneurship events, winning sufficient funds to file patents and establish our company. A professor linked us with Dr. Harriet Chin, an exasperated hospital administrator who later became our first advisor, and eventually our first paying client. This could potentially revolutionize patient outcomes, Dr. Chin informed us after witnessing our demonstration. When might we start the trial program? At Thanksgiving dinner during my final year, my father approached me by the dessert table. Diana and I have been discussing, he said, employing my mother's name in a manner that symbolized a united parental position. We are worried about your career prospects. Jason can assist you in obtaining an administrative role at his hospital, everything remaining stable while you organize yourself. I took a deep breath. In truth, I am attempting to establish a business. His laughter wasn't malicious, merely skeptical. A business? Emma, be sensible. You need experience prior to considering entrepreneurship. Secure a proper job first. That was the last time I tried to discuss my professional life with my family. It was too painful to have something I dedicated my heart to dismissed as a childish whim. Emma and I graduated and moved into a tiny apartment in Chicago's South Loop. We lived on ramen and coffee, coding until our eyes ached, taking side jobs designing websites to cover rent. Initially, our initial workspace was a modest corner desk at an affordable co-working area. Nextech started picking up momentum. A minor angel investment from one of our contest judges enabled us to recruit our first staff member, a talented developer named Tyler. We secured contracts with a local medical center and a chain of outpatient clinics. When I spoke to home, discussions were surface level. Work is good, I'd respond when asked. They didn't inquire further, assuming good implied I was managing in an entry-level tech support position. During Christmas that year, Jason declared his engagement to a pharmaceutical sales representative. My parents expressed joy while relatives inquired about wedding preparations. Later, my mother found me alone in the kitchen. You know Olivia, she said, filling her wine glass. Jason's friend Mark is single. He's nearing completion of his neurology residency. I could set up an introduction. The underlying message was evident. If I couldn't personally attain success, then perhaps I could marry it instead. However, my family failed to appreciate our user base's rapid expansion, the decrease in hospital errors, and the increasing satisfaction of patients, all attributed to our platform. One morning, Emma suggested a discussion on scaling, scattering investor meeting invitations on our desk. We were unable to meet demand. By the time I turned 26, Nextech had grown to employ 30 people and had secured $5 million in venture capital. I moved into an attractive apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, enabling me to settle my student loans. Nevertheless, when visiting my parents, I continued driving my old college car and wore unpretentious clothing so they could continue their narrative about my struggles. It wasn't solely about disproving them anymore. It was about shielding something treasured from those who had never appreciated its worth. I sought success on my own terms, not accepting validation after the fact. The gap between my two realms widened. In one, I was an emerging tech entrepreneur gaining attention from industry publications. In the other, I was the daughter who hadn't met her potential. The mental conflict could be crushing at times. An email from Memorial Health System arrived on a Tuesday morning in April. I reread it thrice before summoning Emma into my office. "They want to deploy Nextech across their entire network," I said, barely audible, "spanning 27 hospitals across 3 states. Emma sank into the chair opposite my desk. "That's the Midwest's biggest healthcare provider," I concluded. We had been striving for this moment for years, but achieving it felt unreal. The contract would increase our revenue exponentially and solidify us as a significant player in health tech. In a short span, our phones buzzed with calls from various hospital systems inquiring about Memorial's uniqueness. A month later, we received a $30 million acquisition proposal from a larger tech firm. Emma and I found ourselves in a modern conference room, listening to executors who were older than us explain the benefits of accepting their money and working for them. "It's a generous offer," Emma commented as we returned to our office. "It is," I concurred, "but we decided to reject it." We both understood that Nextech was worth more than just money. It was about creating something that genuinely assisted people, something significant. We weren't ready to surrender control. 2 weeks afterward, Sierra Partners proposed a $30 million investment for a minority stake, appraising our company at over $100 million. This time, we agreed. The funding would enable us to expand while preserving our vision. When the press release was disseminated, I requested that only my first name be disclosed publicly. As the co-founder and CEO, it's typically Olivia who appears alongside Emma's photo, next to a silhouette bearing her name in articles. It wasn't about concealing oneself. It was more about shaping one's story. After an industry conference where Olivia deliberately maintained a low profile, Emma questioned, "Don't you crave recognition?" To which Olivia responded, "Yes, I do, but not yet. Not from strangers." What she struggled to express, even to Emma, was her complex validation dilemma. She desired her family to acknowledge her authentically, but she wasn't certain about their potential claims on her success or diminishing it when it became unavoidable. The need for ownership preceded any shared glory. Moreover, there was an allure in constructing an empire under the veil of secrecy. In tech circles, Olivia was gaining a reputation as the elusive founder, the visionary woman behind Nextech's groundbreaking platform. The enigma added to her prestige. Subsequently, a profile in Tech World magazine emerged. The request was for photos that included both founders. However, I successfully persuaded them for a clear image of Emma and a backshot of me overlooking our expanding office. The article celebrated our inventiveness and authority, steering clear of my personal history exactly as I desired. At 28 years old, I was technically a multimillionaire, purchasing a chic condo in downtown Chicago, yet keeping it simple and low-key. When kinfolk queried about my residence, I gave an ambiguous account of it being a compact space shared with roommates, leading them to assume I was still striving. My circle of confidence remained small. Emma was privy to all, naturally. Kayla, my assistant, became aware of the Mitchell family circumstances after coordinating more than enough declined invitations. My psychiatrist, Dr. Winters, aided me in navigating the conflicting emotions of prosperity devoid of recognition. "What are you waiting for?" Dr. Winters inquired during one session. "At what point would it be suitable to inform them?" I pondered over the question sincerely. I strive to achieve a level of impact that cannot be dismissed or attributed to luck, a scale so immense they cannot claim credit for it, nor diminish it with the notion of good fortune. I aim to attain a tranquility in not receiving their approval, ensuring I can remain composed should it continue to elude me. Dr. Winters showed understanding through a thoughtful nod. "Do you actively work towards that objective?" I responded affirmatively. Indeed, constructing Nextech transcended the creation of advanced technology. It was about carving out my unique identity, distinct from the predefined milestones of my past. The amusement didn't escape me that my brother pursued our father's path in medicine, while I was pioneering healthcare transformation. Nextech had become an integral part of over 200 medical facilities across the nation. Research indicated a 43% decrease in communication errors and a 38% increase in patient satisfaction scores. In the aftermath of most family gatherings, where I found myself compared subtly, I would often review our company's valuation and user statistics. Due to self-awareness, not arrogance, I kept in mind that self-worth wasn't defined by external validation. The numbers offered stability when old doubts crept up. A prospective takeover discussion started with Horizon Health Technologies, a prominent health software company nationwide. Their early probes sought understanding if we might consider an offer following numerous rejections. They're discussing at least $200 million, Emma mentioned after a luncheon with their development director. $200 million, a figure that would make headlines. One even my family, known for their accomplishments, couldn't ignore. A part of me questioned if this could be the moment to emerge from anonymity. Yet another part held reservations. Was I truly prepared for my spheres to intersect? What would it imply to suddenly be noticed by those who had long overlooked me? I scarcely had time to ponder these queries. Life was poised to compel me in an unforeseen manner. A call from my mom came during a Sunday afternoon as I perused quarterly projections. Olivia, she started without preamble. Jason and Sophia have fixed a date, Labor Day weekend. They're arranging an engagement dinner next month at Bluebird. You must make room in your schedule. Bluebird was the latest Michelin-starred restaurant in Chicago. Nearly impossible to secure a table without influence or a 3-month wait. It seemed Jason was leveraging his hospital board connections. That sounds fantastic, I replied sincerely, despite our intricate relationship with my brother. I'll be present. Her voice then changed to a more critical note. And Olivia, given the high-end nature of this event, perhaps we should go shopping for something suitable? At Christmas, you observed that my wardrobe still has a collegiate feel. I glanced at my designer blouse and tailored pants, an outfit that cost more than most people's monthly rent, though she wouldn't know this. I'll find something appropriate, Mom, I replied. Don't worry, she said, if you're certain. Her doubt was evident. Sophia is a highly regarded woman in the tech industry. Climbing up the executive ladder, everyone will be dressing smartly. The irony of her concern almost made me chuckle. Instead, I took a deep breath. What tech company does she work for? I couldn't remember exactly. Jason says they are quite influential in their field. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be Horizon Health Technologies? The company currently in negotiations to buy Nextech for hundreds of millions of dollars? This couldn't just be a coincidence. Mom, what is Sophia's last name? I asked casually. Winters, she said. Sophia Winters. Why did you inquire? Sophia Winters, a name unfamiliar from our acquisition discussions, but Horizon is a vast corporation with numerous employees. However, the connection was disconcerting. Upon ending the call, I promptly contacted Emma. You won't believe this, I said, explaining the predicament. My brother is engaged to someone from Horizon. That's quite an odd coincidence, Emma replied cautiously. Do you think it will affect the acquisition? I'm not sure, but I must ascertain her identity before that dinner. A swift LinkedIn search uncovered that Sophia Winters held the position of Director of Strategic Acquisitions at Horizon. She would undoubtedly be involved in the Nextech deal, likely spearheading it. In a matter of weeks, we would find ourselves on opposite sides of the table at my brother's engagement dinner, where many assumed I was an underemployed tech support worker. The universe appeared to have a macabre sense of humor. The familial pressure escalated as the dinner neared. Twice more, my mother phoned concerning my clothing choice. My father left a message advising me to prepare something notable about my profession for a discussion with Sophia's parents, who were highly successful individuals. A week prior to the dinner, I received the most distressing call yet. Olivia, there's something I need to discuss delicately, my mother started. Her lawyer tone was never a good sign. It turned out that my father and she had talked with the Winters the previous night. They inquired about me, and it seemed Jason mentioned I was unemployed. My stomach knotted up. I'm not unemployed, Mom. However, that temporary position at the desk using a computer didn't exactly warrant attention. Jason was just trying to calm things down. The essence of the matter is, Sophia's father knows someone at Apple who might be recruiting entry-level IT personnel. Isn't that fantastic? It seems we could finally get you on a suitable career path. The offhand disregard for my work, the belief that I was in need of saving, the utter absence of interest in my past 5 years' activities, it all flooded me with irritation. Mom, I value your concern, but I'm content with where I am. My voice was strained with suppressed feelings. Don't be arrogant, Olivia. This is a genuine chance. We all have to begin somewhere. Following our conversation, I phoned Rachel, my longtime friend, who had recently returned to Chicago. Unlike my family, Rachel has consistently backed my aspirations. even when she didn't fully grasp them. Over time, she became one of the few individuals aware of Nextech's truth. They were setting you up for a sympathetic job interview? Rachel's outrage on my behalf was precisely what I required. During a $200 million acquisition deal, that's extravagant, even for parents. The most awkward situation is that the woman my brother is getting married to is the one negotiating to purchase my company, I remarked, amused by the irony. None in my family have a clue about it. So, what's your plan for this dinner? Dress casually or come dressed as CEO to shock them? I pondered over the question genuinely. Neither. I'll just be myself. No facade, no dramatic disclosure, no games. Just composure. Rachel gave me a surprised look. That's quite mature of you. 5 years of therapy can do that. I responded with a slight grin. Moreover, I'm done trying to impress them. If they find out, they find out. I won't hide, but I also won't put on a show. The day before the dinner, Horizon's final acquisition offer landed in my inbox, $250 million, with terms ensuring Emma and me would stay with the company for at least 3 years post-acquisition. We were almost millionaires. Choosing a modest yet sophisticated black dress for the evening dinner, I found an unexpected tranquility. Regardless of what lay ahead tomorrow night, I had realized my value, and nobody could strip that away from me. Bluebird Restaurant maintained its esteemed status. Crystal chandeliers bathed blue velvet couches and tables adorned with polished silver in a cozy radiance. A wall of windows faced the Chicago River, mirroring the city's vibrant lights on its dark surface. Arriving at the appointed hour, I was neither too early to assist nor too late to create a spectacle. Instead, arriving promptly and gracefully, embodying the professional woman that I am. The hostess guided me to a secluded dining room where my family awaited. My father conversed animatedly with an older gentleman, presumably Mr. Winters, near the bar. Meanwhile, my mother meticulously adjusted place cards at the long table for optimal social networking. It was Jason who noticed me first. "You've arrived, Leave." He strode across the room and wrapped me in a reassuring hug, radiating the unwavering sense of belonging that comes from knowing one's worth. "Allow me to introduce Sophia." She was poised by the window in a stylish burgundy gown, her hair artfully arranged in an updo, a vision I recognized instantly from Horizon's executive page, though I hadn't laid eyes on her during our negotiations, which were always conducted through intermediaries until this crucial stage. "Sophia, this is my sister, Olivia," Jason offered with the slight tinge of remorse he often used when presenting me to his high-achieving acquaintances. "A pleasure to make your acquaintance," Sophia greeted me cordially, offering her hand. "Jason speaks of you frequently." I pondered what he'd said about me, but smiled and accepted her handshake. "Congratulations on your engagement. I'm thrilled for both of you." My mother appeared at my side. It seems you found something to wear, Olivia," she commented. "That's pleasant." The silence echoed loudly. "You're seated beside Cousin Margaret, someone you've always gotten along well with. A strategic placement that distances me from the significant guests at dinner." The gathering commenced with champagne toasts. My father started by honoring Jason and Sophia. "To my son who has brought us daily pride," he expressed, his voice heavy with emotion, "and to Sophia, an intelligent, accomplished woman deserving of him. We could not hope for a better family addition." Mother's toast was next, a well-prepared speech emphasizing Jason's accomplishments from his first science fair win to his recent promotion to chief resident. She ended with, "To Jason and Sophia." As glasses chimed together, I observed Sophia casting a slight frown at me, as if trying to recall my identity beyond being Jason's underachieving sister. The initial course was served, and talk filled the room around me. Jason Margaret subtly inquired about my work situation, similar to asking about a serious illness. I responded briefly by saying, "I'm involved in health technology, primarily database management." This was an understatement of sorts. That's interesting," she replied with the same tone as my mother earlier. "Does your field offer opportunities for advancement?" I hadn't finished speaking when my uncle spoke up across the table. "Olivia, it seems you have a potential opportunity at Apple. That would indeed be quite an upgrade." I took a measured sip of water. "I'm quite content with my current job," I replied. My father chimed in, overhearing the conversation. "Olivia, there's no dishonor in accepting aid to gain entry somewhere respectable. We all want you to succeed." Across the table, Sophia was now staring at me more intently. Understanding was evident in her eyes. "Olivia," she said during a quiet moment, her voice cutting through the background noise, "I understand you might have a lead for a position at Apple. Pardon me, but is your surname Mitchell?" The conversation paused momentarily. Jason appeared perplexed. "Indeed it is." You're her sister? Sophia's eyes grew wide. Are you Olivia Mitchell from Nextech? And there it was. The moment I had both dreaded and secretly anticipated for years. Yes, I replied simply. Sophia placed her fork gently on the fine china. Hold on, you're the founder, the CEO Olivia Mitchell, the one they call unusual? She paused, realizing the public nature of our surroundings. Jason chuckled nervously. Sophia, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. My sister works in technical support or something similar. No, Sophia said slowly, looking straight at me. Your sister is the founder and CEO of Nextech, the healthcare communication platform that's transforming patient care nationwide. The company my firm is on the verge of acquiring for over $200 million. The ensuing silence was deafening. My father halted mid-raise of his wineglass. My mother's hand trembled towards her pearl necklace. Jason gaped in surprise. Is this true? My father asked eventually. I held his gaze confidently. Yes, Emma Rodriguez. And I established Nextech 6 years ago. We now have over 70 employees and serve over 300 healthcare facilities across the nation. But why didn't you tell us? My mother seemed genuinely puzzled. Before I could respond, Sophia, her professional demeanor fading into excitement, continued. Your platform decreased medication errors at Boston General by 62% in the first year alone. The interface design changed how doctors access patient information. We've been trying to develop something similar for years, but your solution is decades ahead. That's why we're prepared to pay such a high price to acquire you. My family seemed to be looking at me as if I were a stranger. In many ways, they were. $200 million, my father whispered. Sophia confirmed with a nod. The acquisition is scheduled to finalize next week, pending final approval. She looked at me with a slightly self-conscious smile. I didn't know you were Jason's sister. Your business profile only displays Olivia without a photo, and our teams have been managing the negotiations. I replied, subtly understating my connection. I prefer to keep a low profile. The rest of the dinner flew by in a haze of surprised queries and awkward disclosures. Former adversaries now sought investment tips from me. My mother mentioned repeatedly that she'd always known I had exceptional skills with technology. My father boasted to his colleagues about his daughter, the tech entrepreneur, for years. Jason, however, remained relatively quiet, absorbing the knowledge that his struggling little sister was set to sell her company for a sum that exceeded his entire anticipated lifetime earnings as a physician. Throughout the event, I managed to stay calm, responding politely to questions without the previous eagerness for approval that characterized much of my past. The validation I once sought now seemed insubstantial amidst their sudden, calculated pride. As the night ended, Sophia pulled me aside. I'm sorry if I made things awkward, she continued. I was just so surprised. I gave an authentic smile in response. There's no need for apologies. A long time has passed, she added, and your industry reputation is exceptional. That's why you maintained a low profile, she remarked. As we parted ways, my mother held onto my arm. We need to have a serious discussion, Olivia. I acknowledged with a nod, knowing the conversation was inevitable but no longer apprehensive. We will, she assured. Walking to my car, I felt a sense of relief. The burden of the secret I had carried for years was finally exposed. Regardless of what transpired next, I would handle it according to my own terms, feeling confident in the accomplishments I had achieved. The initial message arrived prior to my arrival home from dinner. My mother, let's discuss luncheon tomorrow? At the Drake Hotel, 11 a.m. was specified. By dawn, my phone became inundated. Family members who had been distant remembered their past encouragement of my computing pursuits. Long-lost cousins inquired about investment prospects. Jason sent 3 distinct messages, each growing more bewildered, finally asking, "Why didn't you inform me?" I responded only to my parents, agreeing to a brunch meeting. Certain discussions were better held in person. The dining room of the Drake Hotel was refined and discreet, ideal for the challenging conversation that lay ahead. Upon arrival, my parents were already seated, both elegantly attired as if for an important business conference rather than a family gathering. Olivia, my father stood, hesitating between his customary brief salutation and an acknowledgement befitting a daughter who had achieved remarkable success. He opted for an uneasy embrace. You appear to be in good health. My mother showed less reserve. Dearest, there's much to talk about. I've been delving into Nextech this morning. The innovation awards, the funding rounds, the user growth statistics. Why on earth have you concealed all this from us? We are your family, I responded, taking a deep breath. I believe you are aware of the reasons. I certainly am not, my father countered, his voice defensive. We've always encouraged your endeavors. The waiter arrived with coffee, providing me a brief respite to organize my thoughts. After he departed, I confronted my parents directly. You never took my passion for technology seriously. Whenever I tried to share my projects with you, they were brushed off as pastimes, something to grow out of before finding a true profession. After some time, it became less difficult to cease striving. My mother objected. That's not fair. She claimed we merely sought what was best for me. The tech field seemed so unstable. You desired me to adhere to a path you comprehended and approved of. I clarified gently. When I chose differently, you perceived it as a mistake. My father leaned closer. We've always recognized your potential, Olivia. We were simply urging you to excel. No, I replied decisively. You were pressuring me to conform. There's a distinction. He retorted. Clearly, our pressure helped fuel your motivation. It was precisely the reaction I had dreaded and foreseen. Claiming credit for success, they attempted to rewrite history, portraying themselves as supportive guides instead of dismissive judges. Dad, I said earnestly, can you recall telling me to secure a genuine job at Thanksgiving 5 years ago? Did they suggest a role in administration at Jason's hospital because my current work wasn't succeeding? Mom, don't you recall setting up an interview for me last week out of pity? My mother seemed ashamed. We were worried about your situation. Since we didn't know anything about it, how could we have known? You should have spoken up, not just waited for a response that supported what you already thought. The discussion continued over eggs Benedict and mimosas, uncomfortable yet necessary. My mother oscillated between defensiveness and attempts at reconciliation. My father, as usual, attempted to preserve his authority by asserting he had always seen your potential hidden. Your brother spoke highly of your intellect, my mother mentioned, implying that Jason's approval validated me retroactively. I know you both love me, I said eventually, but love without regard or comprehension isn't sufficient. You needed to perceive me authentic instead of the persona you expected. We agreed on a tentative dinner date for the following week, a preliminary move towards our potential relationship. It wasn't the dramatic conclusion depicted in movies, but genuine healing seldom is. Jason unexpectedly showed up at my apartment that night. I offered wine, he said nervously, brandishing an expensive bottle of Cabernet. He figured we might need it. I allowed him entry, a bit taken aback by his proactivity. My modern penthouse, with its expansive windows revealing the city skyline and minimalist decor, was quite different from the hardships he presumed I lived in. Nice place, he said, surveying. Very nice, thanks. He took a seat in my living room, glasses of wine in hand. Outside lay the glittering Chicago skyline. So he started, I've been a jerk. The direct confession elicited a chuckle from me, not entirely unexpected. Yes, I have. He continued to buy into this entire story about my hardships or being lost or whatever. I hadn't truly inquired about your profession before, not genuinely. No, you didn't. He contemplatively swirled his wine. It seemed I took pleasure in being the accomplished one, the one who made my parents proud. Comfortable was the right word for it. His honesty caught me off guard. I assumed you would offer excuses or retell history similar to our parents' attempts. In essence, he apologized and expressed admiration for what you have created with Nextech. Sophia has been incessantly talking about your platform, apparently labeling you as a genius. I merely constructed something I believed in, I replied. Something that genuinely assists people. Similar to my role as a doctor, but on a much larger scale, it seems. We conversed for hours, possibly for the first time as adults, discussing sincerely instead of superficially. He inquired about Nextech and its challenges, while I asked about his medical work and discovered myself genuinely intrigued by his responses, when they weren't framed as proof of superiority. Upon departing, he halted at the doorway. Sophia has a fondness for you, it seems. She felt uneasy about inviting you to dinner, yet she wishes for a friendship between you both. This is particularly true if you'll be collaborating post-acquisition. I'd welcome that, I responded, taken aback to find myself meaning it sincerely. In the ensuing weeks as the acquisition approached finalization, my familial ties ventured into uncharted waters. My parents fluctuated between earnest efforts to comprehend my work and instinctive behaviors stemming from years of perceiving me through a specific perspective. Lunches were tense when my father attempted to provide business counsel, and phone conversations were awkward as my mother inquired about my nutrition despite my busy CEO schedule. However, there were instances of genuine bonding. My father expressed interest in viewing Nextech as platform and paid close attention as I detailed its functions. My mother admitted her lack of understanding regarding technology, but took pride in what I had achieved. Steps may have been small yet significant. The unanticipated development was Sophia's role in linking my two spheres. As both my future sister in law and professional colleague, she provided a distinct view of the Mitchell family dynamics. Your parents are making an effort, she shared during coffee one day. They simply lack the vocabulary for this kind of success. They're learning a new vernacular. A dialect you seem proficient in, I remarked. She smiled. I was raised by parents who gauged worth through academic qualifications and job titles. It took me years to comprehend that numerous routes lead to a fulfilling life. Perhaps I can offer some insights. And she did, subtly enlightening my family about the tech sector, framing my accomplishments in terms they could grasp, and occasionally providing a dose of reality when they reverted to old habits. Her attempts weren't always successful, but they smoothed the path to our new situation. The deal was completed on time, making Emma and me instant centimillionaires. The press release announced both our names along with professional images, marking my first official recognition as a co-founder of Nextech. The mystery innovator emerged into the limelight. 6 months after my brother's engagement party, life resumed a new pace. The Nextech acquisition was successful, and I now headed the innovation division at Horizon Health Technologies. Our platform was being adopted in hospitals spanning 3 continents, with Emma handling international expansion. From my office overlooking the Chicago River, I concluded a call with our development team in Singapore. An interruption by Sophia came via text. Reminder, dinner at your place tonight. Jason mentioned he's preparing dessert, so keep an eye out for unexpected cupcakes from the bakery since he's likely to burn something. He stated this as our family dinners have turned into a regular monthly event, something I would not have predicted a year ago. At times, my parents attend, but it can also be just Sophia, Jason, and me. The bond we've established is something I hold dear. Working together with Sophia has boosted our friendship as her straightforward business attitude mirrors mine, and her insights into my family dynamics have been priceless. She perceives my parents better than I do at times, recognizing the insecurities that underpin their controlling actions. Your father didn't dismiss your tech career because he thought you would fail. She noticed this once. He dismissed it due to lack of understanding, as Richard Mitchell dislikes things he can't comprehend. My friendship with Jason has experienced the most significant transformation. Through bypassing our roles of a prosperous doctor and an unsuccessful sibling, we found shared interests. Both being tenacious, meticulous individuals passionate about enhancing healthcare, we ceased to pass judgments and began exchanging ideas instead. My parents were indeed striving for change. Our weekly Sunday calls transformed from routines into authentic conversations, albeit not always effortless. My mother no longer doled out unwarranted advice on my appearance, while my father made visible attempts to inquire about my work without immediately offering suggestions. The office visits of my mother to Nextech, initially awkward, evolved into feelings of genuine pride as colleagues greeted me with evident respect. The restoration wasn't merely skin deep. The acquisition provided me with the liberty to prioritize my own well-being, an aspect neglected during the startup phase. Consistent therapy sessions with doctor became a regular occurrence. Winters assisted me in managing the intricate feelings stirred by my family's unexpected acknowledgement. She pointed out during a session that I had spent years shielding myself from their criticism. Although this protection isn't essential now, the habits persist. It's all right to slowly dismantle some of those barriers. I followed her guidance not only with family, but in expanding my wider support system. Rachel remains my longest and most reliable friend. Yet I've also built connections with fellow women entrepreneurs through mentoring programs and industry gatherings. The solitude that marked the beginning of my career has been replaced by a chosen family comprised of individuals who comprehend both my professional life and personal journey. One aspect that brings me great delight is mentoring young women in technology. Once a month, I conduct workshops for high school girls interested in STEM fields, imparting not just technical knowledge, but also the emotional fortitude necessary to persist on unconventional paths. 15-year-old tells me their parents view computer science as a pastime, mirroring my own situation. They aspire for me to follow in my mom's footsteps as a lawyer. What do you desire? I asked. To construct meaningful things, they responded promptly. Build them, I suggested, offering resources and motivation. Connect with individuals who share your vision, even if they aren't family members. Keep the possibility open for your parents to comprehend later on. That night, as I prepared dinner with Jason and Sophia, I pondered my progress. The validation I once yearned for eternally had become abundant. Industry acclaim, financial prosperity, even familial recognition. However, I uncovered something more precious during my journey: the capacity to validate myself. Upon his arrival, Jason brought both a homemade chocolate cake that surprisingly looked appetizing and the emergency bakery cupcakes Sophia had foretold. I opted for a mix, he conceded with a chuckle, but I'm improving. Finally triggered the smoke alarm this time, Sophia arrived bearing wine and updates about their wedding arrangements. Conversations effortlessly shifted from work discussions to wedding plans, eventually veering towards family gossip. Apparently, Mom is reading books about technology startups, as Jason informed us. I expressed that it's better late than never, without a hint of resentment. As we relocated to the living room with coffee and dessert, Sophia asked an unexpected question. Don't you ever wonder if things could have been different, if your family had acknowledged your potential earlier? After some thought, I responded. Of course, occasionally. It would have been simpler, less turbulent, but I'm not certain I would have cultivated the same resilience or focus. I learned to trust in myself when no one else did. That forms a strong base. Jason acknowledged with a new sense of self-understanding. If my parents had excessively praised my tech career, I might have become even more arrogant than I already was. We shared a laugh, the sound echoing above the city illuminations. The adventure wasn't complete. Family ties are perpetually changing, not permanently mended. They evolve. There will be additional challenging discussions, instances where old habits threaten to resurface. However, something profound has changed. I no longer rely on my family to validate my worth. I possess that knowledge myself. This freedom enabled me to accept their growing admiration without anxiety, forgive past disregards without erasing the lessons they imparted, and construct relationships based on our transformations rather than our past selves. Success isn't defined by acclaim, but by consequence. By this definition, Nextech had surpassed my wildest expectations, enhancing patient results and communication in healthcare for countless individuals. I managed to establish a life true to my principles and aspirations, disregarding approval from others. Family, both blood-related and chosen, taught me that relationships can evolve significantly when we present our genuine selves. Not everyone will endorse your journey, but those deserving of your companionship will eventually understand you. The following day, surveying the city from my office window, I felt grateful for the tumultuous journey. Although the path ahead was not entirely transparent, I was treading it according to my own rules, defining success for myself. This, rather than any business transaction or family approval, was the true accomplishment. If my account struck a chord with you today, I'd be thrilled to learn about instances where you relied on your conviction when others didn't. Please share your experiences in the comments section below. If someone you know could benefit from this video on self-confidence, consider sharing it with them. Ensure you subscribe for additional tales about discovering your own course, even when it deviates from the expected. Thank you for tuning into my story. Keep in mind that authentic success doesn't stem from proving others incorrect, but rather validating your own beliefs.